You might have already seen my review of the GWM Ora electric hatchback, but this time around I've spent a few days with this little electric honey bunch, and I'm going to tell you all about it in this review, so stay tuned. G'day, I'm Matt. This channel is called The Right Car, where I help you find the right car for your needs. This could be the right electric car for you if you're after something that is, well, styled quite differently to anything else out there and offers a bunch of different variants from a pretty affordable price. Well, this could be the right car for you. Stay tuned and you'll find out if it is. And if you haven't already, please do hit like and subscribe and ring the bell so you can keep up to date with all of my reviews. Plenty more coming. At this point in time, there are two different variants available for the GWM Ora, the standard range and the extended range. Both of them have the same standard equipment lists, which is pretty extensive for a car at this price point. And in fact, the prices have actually dropped compared to when I first reviewed this car. So that's nice to see. But there is a difference, obviously, in terms of the range and the battery size. I'll get to that in a couple of sections' time. Now, the standard gear that you do get includes LED lighting, LED daytime running lights as well. There's also 18-inch alloy wheels. On the inside, you've got leatherette seat trim, an auto-dimming rear-view mirror, twin 10.25-inch screens, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you've also got some nice digital instrumentation for the driver. It does feel pretty nice on the inside, but it is a little bit basic in some other ways. I'll show you that on the interior section. And there's also going to be a new Ultra version of the GWM Ora, which has a bunch of really nice features that you will appreciate, including a panoramic sunroof, heated and cooled and massaging front seats, a heated steering wheel, and an electric tailgate, among a bunch of other extras. The pricing is a little high, but it is packed with the good stuff. Now, if you're wondering, there is going to be a sportier version, the GT. It'll probably come in about 6 to 12 months' time, so stay tuned for that one. It looks a bit sportier, but isn't really that much sportier in general. So you're probably going to get all the EV that you need in one of these entry-level versions. There are a few obvious alternatives to this car, including the MG4, which I was absolutely blown away by. Hit the link up there and you'll be able to check out my review of that car. It's a hatchback. It's very affordably priced, from less than this car in terms of the starting price, and it has a bunch of different variants available, including a very long-range version, which has a lot more driving range, at least on paper, compared to the Ora. And it does have, well, higher pricing as well as a result of that. But if you are after an EV hatchback that is very practical, a lot more practical than this, then it could be the right EV for you. Another alternative you might want to have a look at is the BYD Atto 3. Hit the link up there and you'll be able to check out my test of that car. I love that EV. I think it's a fantastic option, pretty decent pricing, and also it does have some very interesting styling on the inside, very divisive as well. A lot of people hate the interior of that car, but tell me what you reckon in the comments section below. And finally, there's another BYD that you might want to have a look at, the Dolphin. Now, I haven't driven it yet, but the pricing is very attractive and there's a few different variants available for that model. You'll see on your screen now that it does have pretty decent available driving range, but we'll have to wait and see what it's like to live with and to drive in a review coming soon. Stay tuned for that. The Ora is about the same size as most little hatchbacks at just under 4.3 meters. Actually, that's pretty diminutive, and it looks even smaller than it is because it's so curvy and cute and cuddly. It's just, you just want to give it a pat. It's just very, very cute. Now, it does have 5 seats, so it is family friendly in some ways. Let me show you the boot and see if you think your family could cope with this. The boot space in the Ora could be the biggest determining factor as to whether this is going to be the right car for you or not, because it's basically tiny. It's about the same size as a Kia Picanto. This is a much bigger car than a Kia Picanto, but look, there's not a whole lot of space in here. You will just fit a pram, but not much else. Unless you've got a really small pram, then you might fit a shopping bag or two alongside it. But there's no spare wheel or anything else either. It's got a repair kit. There is a charger down there though, so that does alleviate a little bit of concern when it comes to fitting all the stuff in that you need to if you're going for a road trip, for example. But yeah, basic, definitely. It feels pretty nice in here, people. I'm telling you, it feels a bit more than the money that you're paying for it in the Ora. And some of that comes down to the fact it's got these twin 10.25-inch screens, which look very bright and colorful and interesting. And they do this amazing illumination when you get into the car for the first time in the morning, or whenever you get into the car, really. I really like that. It is playful. This car does have a playful vibe to it, and it does live up to that with some elements of the media system and the controls. So there are elements of it that I really don't like. Same with a lot of the Chinese cars. You don't necessarily have the ease of use when it comes to the controls for, let's say, the fan speed or the climate. So if you want to adjust the fan speed and climate, you can do it by this bar on the side here. But just imagine if you're driving along and you're on a bumpy road and you're trying to concentrate on the road and you have to try and hit a button here and your hands are moving all over the place. Look, it's just not as simple as it could be. There are some buttons down here, like you've got a front and rear demister button and an aircon on and off button, but I don't see why you wouldn't have a toggle switch for the climate or for the fan control instead of some of those other buttons. But anyway, that's not how things are here. It is something that you will get used to, but it does take a fair bit of getting used to. And so do some of the controls on the steering wheel. It's a very interesting looking wheel. You've got these controls here that, well, take a little bit of learning. There are two favorite buttons you can configure, but you can't configure them broadly. So there's only a few things that you can choose to configure those buttons as. Sadly, one of them isn't to turn off the emergency lane keeping assistance, which I've done every time I've driven the car. And when it comes to other controls in here, you've got your shifter down here. It's a rotary dial selector, just like a lot of the other Chinese vehicles that I've driven. It doesn't have stoppers on the edge of it, so it can be a little bit annoying. You do find that you have to look down and see whether you've engaged reverse or drive, or look up onto the top of the instrument cluster instead. Although I do really like the material finishes in here, it does feel pretty special. I like the blue stitching across the dashboard. That's a nice sort of, it almost feels like a wetsuit, but an inside-out wetsuit or something like that. So it's kind of a weird material. There are some hard plastics down below as well, but at least on the touch points, it's nice and soft. You've got some soft material on this elbow pad and soft on the elbow pads on the doors as well. The stitching on the doors looks fantastic. The seats look great, and they are pretty comfortable too. And thankfully, I have been able to get into a reasonably good driving position with this car. It's got rake and reach adjustment for the steering, and also the seat adjustment is electric, so you can get into a pretty decent spot for someone my size. Now I'll show you the back in a sec. I just want to touch on a few more practicality elements. You've got cup holders down here. A lot of cars have the cup holders up here. This car doesn't. They're down a bit lower, and that might be a little bit annoying for you if you've got a hot coffee, for instance. You don't want to spill it and get it all over your legs or something like that. You've got a storage tray down here, a couple of USB ports, a wireless phone charger up here, and a covered center console bin as well. So the storage stuff, including door pockets with bottle holders, is pretty well sorted. Let's check out the back seat. Doesn't feel like a small hatchback in here when it comes to space. This seat is set for me at 182 centimeters and 6 foot. Lots of knee room. I've got a decent amount of foot room, good headroom as well. So this is going to be a practical family hatchback to a degree. It doesn't have rear directional air vents, so on really hot days or really cold days, it might not be the most comfortable spot for little ones. Although, one thing I really like about it when it comes to little kids is it's got these ISOFIX points with a nice cover, so you can actually protect the seat from the base of your child's seat from actually like damaging the seat, but also it means you can cover them up and they're not uncomfortable when you're sitting in that seat. As an adult, that is. Now, when it comes to the space, yes, you will fit 3 people across. The middle seat might not be as comfortable as it could be, but you will do it. There's a USB port. You've got mat pockets on the backs of each of the seats, bottle holders in the doors as well, and a flip-down armrest with cup holders. So this is going to be pretty suitable for a lot of people's needs, as long as you can live without rear directional air vents. Both the standard range and the extended range versions of this vehicle come with the same powertrain. It's a front-mounted electric motor. You'll see the outputs on your screen now. They aren't massive for this kind of car, but it is definitely enough, and it's a front-wheel drive, and the tires do get overwhelmed by the amount of torque at times. When you do put your foot down, you might find that it can scrabble a little bit or even squeal those tires. So yeah, it's pretty punchy, definitely going to be punchy enough for most people's needs, and it's got a single-speed transmission and And like I said, front wheel drive only. The standard range version comes with a 310 kilometre EV driving range from its lithium ion battery pack. It's a 48 kilowatt hour battery pack. And then the top spec version, the extended range, comes with a 63 kilowatt hour ternary lithium ion battery pack. And that allows it a claimed 420 Ks of range. So that might add up to you when you're doing the maths about this car. Now when it comes to charging, you've got AC and DC Type 2 combination plug. So the AC charging rate maximum is 11 kilowatts. So that means you can do 3-phase charging at home if you have the capability to do that. And if you do, you'll see how long it should take on your screen now to do that from an 11 kilowatt charger. Obviously, if you've got a 7 kilowatt wall box, it's going to be a bit slower than that. There's also DC charging with a maximum charge rate of 80 kilowatts, and obviously the size of the battery determines how much longer it takes to charge that. So if you do find a fast charger, you'll be able to do 10 to 80% in a bit quicker if you buy the smaller battery pack than if you buy the extended range model. One thing I'll just tell you before we set off, when you do start the car, you don't actually need to press a button or anything. You can just sit in and go. Well, you have to put your foot on the brake. Sometimes you have to press the brake twice before it will engage drive, but I'm going to do that now, and away we go. The Ora is mostly very good to drive. There's elements to it that could do with some improvement, but it is pretty impressive for the money that's being asked here. This car does have an element of refinement and sophistication to the way that it drives. In particular, I think that the electric motor does have a really nice amount of poke to it. It's not the most powerful electric car, obviously, but it does push away pretty quick when you put your foot down. The steering is very responsive. There's a few different modes that you can choose from as well. I've got it set in the lightest steering mode because I think that the heavy mode makes it feel, well, a little bit cumbersome to drive. This is only a little car, but it does have quite a big turning circle for a small car as well. So if you do live urban, if you live where there's a lot of 3-point or 5-point turns required, just keep that in mind. And maybe if you are looking to buy one of these cars, take it for a test drive in your area so you can make sure that it's going to be livable for you. But it's not a deal breaker, I don't think, and it's also pretty enjoyable to steer. It's a bit of a fun little car to drive. It's got a nice character to it, if that's a good way to surmise it. The suspension can be a little bit hard, so yep, you probably saw that bit of shimmy through the GoPro there. Yeah, it is on the firm side when it comes to the ride characteristic of this car. And look, if you live in a place where the roads aren't fantastic, that could be a bit of a concern for you. But over a week, I thought that the ride was mostly okay in most situations. It's just when you do find really brittle patches of road surface, it can be a little bit unsettled at times. And at higher speeds too, it's not the most settled drive experience. You do sort of notice that it's sort of bucking nose to tail a little bit, but it's hardly a deal breaker in my opinion. I reckon it's livable. It's not to the point of extreme annoyance, maybe just a little bit of annoyance. It is quite loud. So on coarse chip roads at highway speeds, this car is frustratingly noisy on the inside. Look, a lot of electric cars do let in a lot of noise because they don't have any engine noise or vibration that's taking your mind away from that sort of ambience. But when you do go a little bit quick on a coarse chip highway or freeway, you will notice that you do have to raise your voice a little bit to be heard. And you notice that when you're on the phone or whether you're talking to people in person in the car. Some of that could be remedied by having a different set of tyres on this car, and tyres would be a very worthwhile upgrade if you ask me, because these ones, they're Gitty Comfort or something like that, they're not very good, especially if you are accelerating from a standstill on a damp surface. Especially if the tyres are cold, you will notice that it really does struggle to get the power down to the road surface, so keep that in mind. And when it comes to braking, you've got the regenerative braking system, obviously, and it does have a one-pedal driving mode. So unlike the MG4, it will come to a complete stop when you do take your foot off the accelerator. Let's just sample that right now, coming up to this intersection. that's not too bad. All in all though, I'm pretty impressed with the way this car drives. It certainly drives better than I was expecting it to. Okay, let's talk about efficiency then. So the official combined energy consumption for this car on the WLTP standard is 15 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks. That's not too bad for a single motor electric car of this size. It's not necessarily a benchmark setter, but it's pretty good. And on your screen now, you can see what I achieved over a week of testing in mixed driving scenarios. And look, it's a little bit higher than the claim suggests that I should have been able to achieve, but I was pretty happy with that. It's not too bad at all. The Ora has the maximum 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating. It doesn't have an ANCAP rating just yet, but it does show that the Chinese brands really are upping their game when it comes to safety technology. However, in some ways, some of the technology is a bit of a box-ticking exercise in my opinion, and it doesn't have the same sort of level of sophistication as some other vehicles out there when it comes to the interventional safety technology, like lane keeping assistance and emergency lane keeping, for example. I've been turning the emergency lane keeping system off because it comes on every single time you drive the car. There's also a driver monitoring camera in there, which I've switched off, and thankfully that tech stays off. Now, it does have the stuff you would expect. There's adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian, cyclist and junction detection. And there's also those lane keeping systems, blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, and a panoramic view 360-degree surround view camera system as standard on all grades, which is nice to see, plus front and rear parking sensors too. When it comes to airbags, you've got all the ones you would expect: dual front, front side, a front center and full length curtain. Pretty safe. GWM offers a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty for its model range in Australia, and that includes the car and the battery. But if you are going to use the vehicle for commercial purposes, maybe as a taxi or a rideshare sort of car, then you might notice that the warranty plan isn't quite as good for you. It's 150,000 kilometres. Now, when it comes to roadside assist, you get 5 years included as standard for free, which is nice to see. And the services, well, you'll see the intervals on your screen now, and you'll also now see the prices for those services on your screen. What do you reckon about that? Let me know in the comments. This car does have a lot of appeal. I like the look, I like the interior, although the boot space might be a deal breaker for some buyers. For me, I don't think I could make it work for my family because the boot is so small. But tell me what you reckon in the comments section below. Do you reckon this could work as a family car, or would you choose one of the alternatives that I mentioned earlier? If you haven't already, please do hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.